Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how to calculate rental income and demand for your investment properties. So if this is an area that you've ever wondered about or had questions about this, you'll want to stick around for this video. Right, so I feel like a major reason why people don't want to invest in property is because they are scared. They're scared because of thoughts that, what if I get an investment property to rent out and then I get no tenants? What if nobody's interested? What if the property's just sitting there void for months on end? These are the kind of concerns that I believe people have when thinking about getting investment properties, and which deters them from doing so. I just want to say that this really isn't a big deal and shouldn't be too much of a concern for you as long as you do your due diligence and do proper research into the area that you're planning to buy your investment property in. Okay, so yes, you'll definitely want to be prepared for those like one-off occasions whereby your property may be void, and that may be when you're changing tenants. So your current tenant may be moving out and then you're busy trying to find new tenants to move in. For those sort of circumstances, you should have a buffer and some form of savings to cover you for those periods whereby you may have a month whereby you don't have tenants because you're changing around. But aside from that, as long as you've done your due diligence, you should have no issues with your property sitting around void for like months on end whereby nobody's interested. That just shouldn't happen. People always need a place, and as long as you do proper research to find that place that people always want or need, you shouldn't really have a problem. So anyway, let's get into this video. So how to calculate rental income for your investment property. So this is something that's not going to cost you anything. It's totally free and it's based on 3 tools or websites. The first is your property search website. So this is like Zoopla or Rightmove. The second is a flat share search site. This is like Spare Room or Open Rent. So essentially somewhere where you can look for a spare room in a shared house. The third is mouseprice.com. So mouseprice is mainly used to sort of identify how much a property was sold for. But if you go on to then create a free account within the website, it actually tells you like rental estimates for a property. So if you put in an address, it will tell you how much that you could potentially get for that in rent. It will tell you the highest figure as well as the lowest figure. So now that we've determined the tools to identify rental income for your investment property, now we're going to look into the actual strategies. So I've got 3 strategies I'm going to talk to you about today. So the first strategy is something I like to call a bit more basic. So it all begins on your property search website. So this is Zoopla or Rightmove. I personally prefer Zoopla. I just think it looks easier, more customer friendly. But anyway, that's just by the way. So you start off on Zoopla. So at this point, I'm just going to share my screen with you just to show you exactly what I mean and so that you can get a good feel for what I'm talking about. Right, so you're starting off on the Zoopla website, and so you're in the sales section. So let's say you've identified Grays as the area that you want to buy in. So I'm putting in Grays there. You know your budget is £200,000, so I'm going to put in £200,000 here, and then search. So right from the results, you can see like most likely you're going to be able to get a 2-bedroom flat or house. So 195 there. £200,000 for this 2-bed flat. 2-bed flat 165. So comfortably you'll be able to get something that has 2 bedrooms for £200,000. So after this, then you now want to go into the rent side. Again, put in Grays, and then you've identified you can get 2 bedrooms. So you've got 2+ bedrooms there, and so you can see that it's ranging. So you've got 900 per calendar month for 2-bed there. You've got 950 per calendar month there. You've got 1,400 here. This one's quite high. But based on these, I'd say like you can average around £1,000, £1,000 per calendar month for rent for a 2-bedroom property in Grays. So you can see there that if you were to get a 2-bedroom property, you can likely get around £1,000 just under £1,000 for your rental. So you also want to pay attention to whether they're furnished or unfurnished properties. So for furnished properties, you'll be able to command a higher rent, whereas for properties that are unfurnished, you'll get less rent. So let's look at this one, for example, the one that was really high. Maybe it's furnished and that's why they're trying to put it up for higher rent. So yeah, it's furnished. They've got like sofas in there, in the living room, beds, chair. So it's like, yeah, it's quite furnished, bare, but it's furnished. So yeah, that's something you definitely want to put into consideration when comparing. As well as that, bear in mind that these property search sites will only show you single lets. So you can't see how much, for example, you would get if you were to turn a property into a HMO, which is a house with multiple occupancy. So for example, this 2-bed flat, this is £950 as a single let. If it was a HMO, maybe you could get more, but Zoopla is not going to tell you that. To find out how much you could get for a HMO, you then need to go to Spare Room, which I'll go to now. Right, so this is what spare room looks like. So you begin your search here. So I'm going to put in Grays again and search. Right, so rooms for rent in Grays. So we can see, so there's a double room here. It's in a 4-bed house, £450 per calendar month. Another one here, £110 per week. So again, just over £400 a month. Another one here, £650 per calendar month. Now, this is just a 5-minute walk from Grey Station, so that's probably why they're able to get a lot more in rent. So yeah, this is how you can identify how much you could get for a property if it was a HMO. So that's really helpful. Again, I'll point out the fact that you can see whether properties are furnished or unfurnished here on the spare room. So again, keep that in mind when you are doing your comparisons to see how much rent you could possibly get for the kind of property that you want to get as an investment. So that is strategy 1. Right, so strategy number 2. So you've got a £200,000 budget and you've identified that generally this can afford you a 2-bedroom house, okay? So what you want to go and do now is look at these individual 2-bedroom houses and look at the floor plan. So now for strategy 2, we're going back to Zoopla, and so we're going to go back to Grays in the for sale section, that is. So Grays, our max price was £200,000. And search. So now the difference here between this and the first strategy is the fact that you now go into some of these properties, for example. So let me find a house, because I prefer houses, to be honest. Are there no houses? Well, this is a masonette, but it's like a house structure. So, okay, 2-bed house now, and we're going to go into floor plans. And the reason being because we're going to try and see if we can add any value to this property. So potentially add an extra room, a conservatory, anything like that that's going to bring up the value to allow us to rent it out for more. So from looking at this, to me, this living room looks quite large. Obviously, you probably need to go and visit the property, but I would try and see maybe if I could split up the living room, so to get an additional room in here somewhere. Or if you plan to rent out this property as a HMO, I might just get rid of this living room altogether, because more times people won't stay in the living room if it's shared accommodation. So this could be converted into another room. So as you can see, instead of, you know, a 2-bedroom property, you may have a 3-bedroom property here, and so you can command more rent for it. So yeah, we've identified we can get 3 bedrooms here if we convert the living room to another bedroom, but then maybe there's potential to even split bedroom 2 or the master bedroom. And this is where going on viewings is very, very handy, because then you can actually go in there and see if you can actually realize these plans and do what you thought you could with the property. So these are ways to identify how you can add value and potentially boost the amount of rent that you can collect from a property. So whether it be you rent it out as a single let to a family or you rent it out as a HMO, you've got more value here, okay? You've got potential to charge more rent for this property. So that is essentially the second strategy. So we've already covered in terms of going on to spare room or open rent to see how much you could charge for rent as a HMO. So we don't need to do that second step. But from what I've just shown you here, you've got 2 strategies, 2 ways to identify how much rent you can get for a property, and also how you can increase the amount of rent that you can get for a property. So before I move on to the final strategy now, I just want to call out the fact that when you are looking at similar properties to compare to, you want to look at all the variables, okay? So when you are identifying an area to buy based on, you know, what you've seen that you can get for rental income in similar areas, you want to be looking at specifically, you know, the postcodes, the proximity to the station, proximity to places of interest like, you know, the shopping centre, town centre, supermarkets, those kind of things, okay? You want to be paying close attention to this. There's no use in doing your research on properties that are like 10 or 15 minutes away from the train station or shopping centre, and then when you're looking at the house that you're going to buy, it's actually maybe like half an hour plus away from the train station, because it's not exactly the same. I'm not saying that you're not going to be able to get people to live in your property if it's that far away from the station, but what I am saying is that it's not a like by like comparison, okay? So when you are looking at these properties, make sure you are paying attention to certain figures. I particularly always pay attention to how far a place is from the nearest train station, and so all my research will be based around comparing properties that, you know, are renting well around that area versus a potential property that I can buy also in that same sort of vicinity and that, you know, distance from the train station, to make sure that I'm getting more of a like for like. I hope that makes sense. If not, please do let me know down in the comments and I'll try and clear that up for you. So the final strategy, it's not really much of a strategy, but this is where mouse price comes in. Okay, so let's say you found a property that you want to buy, yeah? So all you have to do is put in the postcode or the full address if you happen to have it, and mouse price will bring up that property for you. And not only will it tell you how much it was sold for in the past, but it will also tell you how much you can get for the property in rent. As I mentioned earlier in the video, you do need to create a free account on mouseprice.com to be able to see these figures, but it is really helpful. And I can tell you that mouse price actually does work, and it is pretty accurate, because I put in the address of my rental property and it actually came up with the range of what I'm renting my property for. So that is another great place to look for to determine how much rent that you can get for a property that you're looking to buy. I will just say, however, that with mouseprice.com, it only gives you a single let figure, so it only tells you how much you can get as a whole for the property as rent. It doesn't tell you how much rent you can get for the property if you turn it into HMO, okay? So you can just use your Flatshare searchlight for this part. Okay, so now that we've spoken about calculating rental income for your property, let's talk about how to determine demand for your property and to make sure that you're buying in a good area and where people essentially want to live. Okay, so you want to calculate potential demand for an investment property. The first thing that I'll always say is put yourself in the renter's shoes, yeah? If you were the renter, what would you like from your property? What are the kind of things that you look at? What kind of things would make you comfortable in an area? Okay, answer those questions for yourself and you've got a great starting point. After this, the first thing that you want to do is target populated areas, or areas that you know to be well populated, residential areas, or places that generally people like to live. So this could be for a number of reasons. It could be because the people work within that area, or it could be because it's a good commutable area, so it's somewhere that you can easily get in and out from to get to work. The second thing that you want to do is identify places that are near enough to the local shopping centre, town centre, and other places of interest. So that could be your supermarkets, just generally places that people go to on a regular basis, okay? Things that will make life easier for people. You don't want to buy an investment property in an area whereby the nearest supermarket is like half an hour away. Like, for me, that just seems a bit ridiculous. Like, that is not convenient at all. Whether you're a family or individual professional living on your own, I don't feel like anybody would like that sort of situation, and so I would stay clear away from properties like that. And so again, as I said earlier, put yourself in the renter situation. What would you like? How far would you like your closest supermarket or even off license to be from you? You definitely want to factor this in. Number 3, you want to look at properties that are near the main train station. So personally, to hit that sweet spot, I like to say, you know, a property that is maybe 15 to 20 minutes walk away from the train station, because that will appeal to everybody. You don't need to think about getting on a bus or paying, you know, bus fare to get to the town centre or to the train station. Like, it's within walking distance to you. That's convenient for anybody. If you're not able to get somewhere that is walking distance to the train station, because that's not always possible, then you want to at least make sure that you get somewhere that, you know, is close to the bus stop, so they can walk down to the bus stop in, you know, 5 minutes, and once they get on the bus, they're at the train station within, like, you know, 10-15 minutes. Okay, that is still fairly convenient, so you want to make sure that you definitely put this into consideration. And the reason why I like to place so much emphasis on a property being near enough to the train station is because you're hitting a wider market. Not only do you appeal to those that live in the area because they work and have everything that they do in that area, but you're also appealing to those that commute in and out of the area for work. So for example, let's say you live in Luton but you actually work in London. So for that kind of person, what's going to appeal to them is somewhere that is near enough to Luton train station so that they can easily get to and fro work. Ideally somewhere whereby they don't live too far from the station, so they don't have to think about paying, you know, public transport fare or paying to park at the station before they then get into London. Because again, after getting into London, you've still got travel costs to consider before you finally get into your office. So you need to make sure that you keep all these things in mind and have consideration for your potential tenants. Number 4, you want to ask yourself, are there workplaces nearby and universities nearby? So I've already kind of touched upon on the workplaces, but are there universities nearby? That is another huge market. If you're in a university town, that is a great pool of potential tenants for you, because university accommodation is always high in demand, okay? So you are very, very unlikely to get a place whereby you will not have tenants in there, because university students are always looking for a place to stay. And if you get good tenants and have a good relationship with them, for at least 2 years, you can guarantee that you're going to have people in there. Of course, deciding to rent out your property to university students is a personal choice. I know some people aren't too comfortable about that because they feel that, you know, university students may potentially trash your property and not look after it very well. But I think if you do proper vetting, you shouldn't really face this problem. So finally, number 5, you want to go back to spare room, okay? Keep an eye on this website. Keep an eye out on properties. Are you seeing that there's much demand for properties in particular areas? Are you seeing that the properties properties being listed are only looking for like maybe one tenant because they've already filled up most of the rooms in the property. When you see things like this, it does give you a good idea that the properties are in high demand and people are interested in living in those areas. So this is why I say keep an eye out on spare room. Not only is it a way to identify how much rent you can potentially get for a place or a room, but also gives you some insight into demand in that area. So guys, this has been a lengthier video from me, but I do hope you found it useful. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Please do let me know what is your favorite strategy down in the comments below. I'd really love to hear. Please do also let me know if this is an area that you struggled with and has potentially been holding you back from, you know, getting an investment property. If it has been an area that has troubled you, has this video helped? Please do let me know down in the comments. If you also have any other video suggestions or topics that you'd like me to cover, please do also let me know and I'll go about creating that video for you. So thank you for watching and I'll catch you next week. Bye.